Hey, what's up everybody? Jake here and welcome to the hobby. CGC has officially released a statement regarding the fake Pokemon prototype and playtest cards that have been hitting the news over the past couple of days. These cards floated onto the market around 6 months ago, and there are a ton of them out there. Just way more playtest cards from the original 1996 playtesting of the Pokemon TCG than there ever should be. And there were a decent amount of red flags on these cards. Too many of them are pristine, which is very weird for a card that is way too old and was regularly play tested to be in pristine condition. And after doing some additional research on it, a couple of collectors did find out that these cards were fake. I'm going to link you to the article down in the description, the PokeBeach article regarding this whole entire story. So if you want to read about it more in detail, a lot of these old 1996 playtest cards are absolutely fake. And the big reason how they figured this out is that they've scanned their cards and discovered that they were printed in 2024 because there's hidden information inside of the paper that these cards were printed on that dates the cards to 2024. So that's a really big hit to a lot of collectors that spend a lot of money on these cards. So really wild, because these cards have been selling for pretty ridiculous prices. Like, for example, a prototype Pikachu recently sold for $20,000, which makes sense. If this card is a true playtest card, it was used to playtest and create the original Pokemon TCG, then these cards are way older than the original first edition Charizard or base set or any of those cards. These cards are ancient and a true piece of Pokemon history. The good news is that some of these cards were scanned and they are legitimate. Some cards were identified as being true 1996 playtest cards. So it's not that all of them are fakes, it's that some of them are fakes. Way more of them are fakes than there are reals, which makes sense because obviously these cards are playtests. So there's going to be tons of issues and errors with them. They were never meant to be mass distributed or mass marketed. So all a scammer has to do is print them out and tape them onto card backs, and they can say like, oh, any issues or errors with it is because they were never meant to be distributed. You're going to expect these cards to look haphazard anyway because of the fact that they were playtests. Now, some of the cards that were confirmed to be legitimate includes this Bulbasaur right here, as well as this Charmander and this Squirtle. And if you look at these cards, it makes sense that these could potentially be real because they show signs of wear and tear. You know, they're not in perfect conditions. They show signs that these cards were used or played with or old, and you can see the coloring on the paper. It's actually yellow. Paper that is 26 or 30 years old is going to show signs of yellowing and aging. And some of these cards that CGC were grading were in pristine condition. They were getting pristine 10s and 9s all day long. And these, I think, are the ones that are fake because obviously, how can a card that's 30 years old and was playtest be in pristine condition? And I don't know how CGC ever decided that these cards were authentic or grade worthy, because if a regular collector can determine that they're fake, what is CGC doing, you know, with their millions of dollars in grading technology? So I'm going to link to the article if you want to see the whole entire story, but we're going to look over the CGC statement. It says that CGC is investigating reports regarding the authenticity of certain Pokemon prototype and playtest cards. CGC is aware of recent reports questioning the authenticity of certain Pokemon prototype and playtest cards. We take these claims very seriously and are conducting a comprehensive investigation. The cards in question represent less than 0.03% of the cards graded by CGC. We stand behind every card that we grade, and we are committed to addressing this matter thoroughly and professionally. This investigation will take some time, but we will provide updates as they are available. As a part of this investigation, we require all impacted cards to be returned to our headquarters for analysis. To send CGC graded Pokemon prototype and playtest cards back to CGC, follow the instructions below. So there's a couple of things about this first. This statement right here is really weird. The cards in questions represent less than 0.03% of the cards graded by CGC. Really weird statement. It's pretty much saying, but what aboutism, which is saying, hey, yes, these cards are fake, but what about all these other cards that are real? The thing about grading cards is your reputation and your credibility is everything. That's all that people care about when it comes to card grading, because the value of the grade is based on the reputation of the company. So when you start grading fake cards, your reputation is extremely damaged and tarnished. And then people start questioning all of your other cards. It doesn't matter that these cards only represent 0.03% of the market. That's so weird to even say. The fact that you're grading any fake cards at all brings everything into question. So I understand why they put this in here, but it's just a weird stat to throw in to say like, hey, we grade lots of cards, so it's okay that some cards are fake, right? Very, very weird statement. This is also interesting that they want all of these fake cards to be returned. Makes sense though, because they don't want any fake cards with CGC graded slabs on them, because that's a bad look for them. They're going to take them all back and re-authenticate them to make sure that these are legit. They should have done that in the first place. I don't know how these even got graded in the first place. Who even looked at these, right? So they put in instructions for how to have all of these returned and investigated. There is no charge for this service, which is good. They should not be charging you for this service because they should have done it right in the first place. If your card is on this list, oh, there's a list of all of the cards. My goodness, how many cards are on here? I actually want to know, how many cards did they actually put on this list? Is this just the statement? It's just a bunch of graded cards. Okay, there's a lot of them. I'll look it up. I'll let you guys know how many of these are out there. But let's see if there's anything else. You're just going to drop it off to them. For questions about submitting an eligible card for review, just reach out them on WhatsApp. Ooh, that is weird. I would not be reaching out to them on WhatsApp. They're really not admitting any fault yet, and that makes total sense. Very legalese. They're not admitting anything. They're not saying that they messed up. They're not offering any compensation. They're not offering any refunds. No money is getting back to you. Nothing like that. If you're someone that's impacted by this, I am not impacted by this. I did not pick up any of these cards because they're just kind of sketchy. And I don't have the money. Both of those are great reasons. I don't have the money, and these are kind of sketchy. They don't mean anything to me. If they mean something to someone that really wants a piece of history, that's great. And I like history, but I don't care about these that much. If someone really values them, that's great. I'm glad that some of these are legitimate. Kudos to you for having a true playtest card from 1996. This is going way beyond rookie card. This is so much earlier than even a rookie card. So I do think these are really, really cool if they're legitimate. The fact that some of them are not legitimate really, really hurts the hobby in general. Hurts CGC mainly of all, because I don't know, maybe they were just smelling dollar signs and that's all they could see in front of their eyes, is all the dollar bills were just hitting their face, and that's all they could see. They couldn't see past the money to see the potential issues, because before you start grading cards like these, you got to understand it's a huge hit on your reputation if you ever back one of these cards and it turns out that they are illegitimate. That's why PSA never grades these cards. This is why BGS never grades these cards. They only want to confirm that a card's legitimate, because anyone can take a piece of printer paper, stick it onto a card back and say, yo, I playtest with this card 30 years ago, money please. And you don't want to be backing those guys up unless you're 100%, like 110% dotting your I's and crossing your T's that they are absolutely legitimate. These cards should have seen a lot more scrutiny from CGC than they originally did. So this statement doesn't really cover everything that I want CGC to cover, but it's probably too early for them to admit fault yet. They really have to look at it, and they'll probably provide compensation. I think it's prudent to their reputation for them to provide compensation to people that were impacted by this. They should do it right, because it'll only hurt their reputation down the lines. People are going to be talking about this for the next 20, 30 years, if CGC even lasts that long. Most grading companies do not even last 20 or 30 years. Most die within 5 to 10 years pretty quickly. And trust me, I've seen a lot of grading companies die. A lot of them you guys won't even recognize because their acronyms have been lost to the winds. So thank you so much for watching. This has been CGC's statement on the Pokemon prototype and playtest cards. At least they're doing something. they're not doing enough. Okay, we put it into Excel and it looks like there are 1,562 of these graded by CGC. 1,562. I said roughly 5 to 10% are probably legit. That's probably right. If you look at the total population of playtest cards, they're probably maybe like 60 to 100 that the original creators probably actually distributed and provided to CGC. So I don't know what they got the other 1,400 cards or whatever amount. Really wild story. We're going to keep track of this. I think this one is going to be a slow brew. It's going to take a long time for us to see any true resolution on this. But it'll be a fun story to follow. Most of the people watching this video is probably not impacted by this at all, but it's a fun story to follow for sure. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.